Something impossible happened in the galaxy. Earth's dark matter fleet arrived. The stars stretched endlessly across the black sky. Daniel Brooks sat in the command chair of the Veloran monitoring outpost, staring at the screens. The outpost floated near a neutron star, its light flickering like a distant candle. Daniel rubbed his eyes. Space had a quiet way of pressing on the mind, making a person feel very small. Around him, the hum of the machinery and the faint vibrations from the star reminded him that life was fragile, even in places far from home. Lieutenant Ryan Clark stood beside him, hands behind his back. Ryan was one of the few humans stationed with the Velorans, sent as a liaison decades ago. He had grown used to the alien environment, but every day still carried a strange mix of awe and fear. Today, he seemed nervous. "Captain," Ryan said, pointing at a sensor readout. "There's a fluctuation in the neutron star's gravity. It's small, but unusual." Daniel frowned. "Unusual how?" Ryan tilted his head. "It's like the star is bending space differently, not a normal pulse, something shifting." Before Daniel could answer, a voice broke the tension. Dr. Olivia Grant, a human physicist embedded with the Velorans, spoke from her console. "I see it too. It's subtle, but the energy readings are off. It's not just the star, there's something else here." The Velorans nearby whispered among themselves, their voices low and tense. They considered humanity minor, fragile, and predictable. But here, a human was noticing something even they hadn't fully understood. Daniel rubbed the back of his neck. "Tell me exactly what you see, Olivia." Her hands moved over her console. "I can't explain it fully yet, but the energy is folding, compressing in a way that should be impossible, and it's expanding at the same time." Ryan's eyes widened. "Impossible? That's bad, isn't it?" Olivia shook her head. "Not necessarily bad, just unexpected, but the patterns, they look intentional." Daniel's stomach tightened. He had learned to trust humans when it came to science. They often saw things differently. But intentional in deep space usually meant one thing. Someone was doing something they weren't supposed to. Outside the outpost, the void seemed to darken. Stars flickered, as if the universe itself were hesitating. Daniel stood and walked to the observation window. He couldn't explain why, but he felt a chill, a sense that something massive was moving toward them, something bigger than anything the Velorans had seen. Then it appeared. At first, it was just a shadow, a flicker in space that made no sense. It was moving too fast, bending light as it went. Daniel's hand tightened on the railing. His mind raced. And then the ships came. They did not appear slowly, one by one. They simply emerged as if the universe had folded and spat them out. Thousands of vessels floated in the darkness, blacker than the void, reflecting nothing. Each ship seemed alive, shifting the space around it. Light bent around them, and even the distant stars looked distorted. Ryan's jaw went slack. Is that real?" Olivia whispered, "It has to be, but this is beyond anything recorded, beyond physics as we know it." Daniel did not answer, he just stared. Each ship carried a single insignia glowing faintly in the dark. He had seen that symbol before in historical files, buried deep in humanity's classified archives. It was the Earth Defense Command emblem. "No," Ryan said, his voice trembling. "That's impossible. Earth doesn't have ships like that." Daniel shook his head. "Not yet, maybe." But apparently, someone changed that. The Velorans nearby were in shock. They had spent centuries dismissing humanity as weak, confined to a single star system. And now, the humans had arrived in a fleet that defied every law of energy they knew. From the bridge, a single transmission came through the dark air. It was calm, deliberate, and human. "This is Commander Jacob Lee of the Earth Defense Fleet. We are here. Do not fire unless fired upon." Daniel felt his knees weaken slightly. He had read reports of the humans, dark matter experiments, secret projects buried deep in old archives. But he had never imagined the results could manifest like this. Ships not just hidden from sensors, but folded into another dimension, imperceptible, untouchable, and now fully present. Olivia leaned close. "Daniel, look at the gravity readings." "Their mass is enormous, but the sensors barely detect it. They've manipulated space itself around their ships." Ryan took a step back. "So they're untouchable?" "They're different," Daniel said, "and we just realized it too late." The fleet moved in unison. They did not attack, but the way they positioned themselves around the outpost was strategic. Protective, calculated. It was not aggression, it was a warning. From the outpost's communication system, a Veloran officer spoke. "Captain Brooks, orders." Daniel shook his head slowly. No orders, just observe, do not engage, wait and see. The Veloran officer's voice was sharp. We could warn the council they will want to destroy them. Daniel turned to him. And start a war that no one can survive? No, not yet. Humanity has done something impossible. We need to understand it first. Hours passed. The stars outside returned to their usual positions, but the fleet remained, dark and silent, floating like shadows in space. Daniel moved among the crew, trying to keep them calm, but he felt the weight of history pressing on him. Today, a small monitoring station near a neutron star had witnessed the arrival of a force that could change the galaxy. Ryan approached Daniel, still pale. "Captain, do you think they're here to help?" Daniel didn't answer immediately. He studied the fleet, noting how each ship moved in perfect coordination. The humans were disciplined, far beyond anything he had expected. "I don't know," he said finally. "But they're not here to conquer, I can feel it. They're prepared for something big." Olivia joined them, her face tight with concentration. "It's not just their fleet. Look at the energy signatures again. They're stabilizing a region of space. Something massive is coming, and I think humanity already knows about it." Ryan looked confused. "Knows about what?" Before Olivia could answer, the observation screens flickered. A strange ripple passed through space, distorting the stars. Daniel's hand instinctively gripped the railing. He had never seen this before. From the dark void, a shadow moved. It wasn't a ship, not exactly. It was something enormous, something alive and incomprehensible. Stars near it disappeared, swallowed by a darkness that should not exist. The Velorans froze. Olivia gasped. "That's why they're here. They've been preparing for this thing." Daniel's mind raced. He remembered old warnings, classified reports buried in the archives. Humanity had discovered ways to manipulate dark matter, to hide ships in other dimensions, to fold space in ways that could bend reality. He never imagined the results would be revealed in his lifetime. Ryan swallowed hard. "So we're lucky they arrived when they did." "More than lucky," Daniel said. "If this is what I think it is, the galaxy could be facing something unstoppable, and humanity might be the only ones ready for it." The fleet shifted slightly, forming a line between the outpost and the darkness moving toward them. It was clear. Earth's fleet had arrived not to conquer, but to defend, to protect. And in that moment, Daniel felt a strange mix of relief and fear. Relief because allies had arrived when no one else had. Fear because the threat was real, enormous, and beyond comprehension. The first contact was not violent, but it changed everything. The galaxy had underestimated humanity for too long, and now, in the black expanse of space, that mistake would be remembered forever. Hours later, Daniel sat alone in the observation room, the stars bending unnaturally before him. He whispered to himself as if saying it out loud would make it real. Something impossible just happened in the galaxy, and Earth has arrived. The fleet remained, silent but immense, a promise in the void. And somewhere deep in the shadows of the human ships, lights blinked faintly, as if counting down to a larger moment yet to come. Daniel knew one thing for certain. The calm before the storm was over. And humanity, long thought small and weak, had just shown the galaxy the meaning of impossible. The Veloran Council chambers buzzed with tension. Holographic displays showed the dark ships floating outside the disputed star system. The council members whispered among themselves, their alien voices high and urgent. None of them had ever seen anything like this. Humanity, long thought weak and harmless, had arrived with a fleet that bent the very fabric of space. Ambassador Laura Mitchell appeared suddenly in the chamber. The image flickered at first, then stabilized. She was calm, composed, and entirely human. Her blue eyes scanned the council members, and she began to speak. "I know this is unexpected. The fleet you see is not here to attack. We are here to defend if needed." The Velorans stiffened. One of the council elders, a tall figure with silver-tinted skin named Varath, spoke sharply. "Your species has broken treaties. You have expanded where you should not. Why should we believe you are not here to conquer?" Laura did not flinch. "Because the threat you do not see is coming. We have prepared for it in silence. Humanity does not seek war, but we will not allow extinction. We are here as a warning and as a shield." In the observation room of the outpost, Daniel Brooks, Ryan Clark, and Olivia Grant watched the council debate. Daniel felt the tension in the room. The Velorans were proud and cautious. They had lived in the galaxy for thousands of years, believing themselves powerful. And yet they were scared now. Olivia leaned close to Daniel. They don't know what we're capable of, not really, and we don't need to tell them everything yet, but the threat, it's real. Daniel nodded. I know, and if we are right, it will take all of us to survive. The story of humanity's preparation began decades ago. On Earth, in a secret facility buried beneath layers of mountains, Dr. Ethan Cole and engineer Mia Turner worked on a project called Horizon Veil. The world above thought humanity had no way to fight beyond its star system. The truth was far different. Ethan looked at the massive machine in the lab. Mia, if this works, we can compress matter beyond anything known. Dark matter ships, hidden in another dimension, undetectable, untouchable. The galaxy will never see them coming. Mia nodded, her hands steady as she adjusted the control panel. And the energy required, are we sure we can stabilize it? Ethan smiled faintly. We have no choice. If we fail, humanity will remain weak. If we succeed, we can survive threats no one else can see coming. Years of testing followed. The ships were built in secret, stored in a dimension beyond the senses of all other species. They were not meant for war with other civilizations. They were meant for survival. And now, after decades, they had emerged. Back at the Veloran outpost, the council chambers argued endlessly. Some Velorans wanted immediate retaliation. Others feared the humans' unknown power. Vareth's voice carried through the room. We cannot ignore this. They are too advanced. They hide technology we cannot detect. But they have not attacked yet. That is unusual. Laura's hologram remained steady. We have not attacked because we are not conquerors. Our fleet is a shield. There is a danger moving through the galaxy, an entity from beyond our stars. You have faced losses, but you do not know the scale. We do. The council murmured. Their fear grew. The humans had spoken of something beyond their knowledge, and now, with the fleet visible in the sky, it was impossible to ignore. Daniel watched the stars outside the outpost. The dark matter fleet floated silently, enormous and precise. Each ship seemed to hold a part of the galaxy within it, bending space, holding energy that could destroy stars. He felt a strange awe. These humans, long dismissed as weak, were something else entirely. Ryan stepped closer. Do you really think humanity can handle whatever is coming? Daniel hesitated. I don't know, but they've prepared for it. That alone makes the difference between survival and extinction. Inside the council chambers, Laura continued. The entity you have faced before is nothing compared to what we have detected. It moves between galaxies, consuming entire star systems. Velorans have lost colonies, but humanity has been tracking it for decades. We knew it was coming, and we prepared in secret. The fleet you see now is the result. A young Veloran, a lieutenant named Kale, raised his voice. And why should we trust you? You could be lying. Laura's gaze was steady. If we were lying, we would have already conquered, but we have not. Our ships protect, not attack. Observe the fleet. You will see we are disciplined. We are not reckless. Daniel felt a weight lift slightly. The Velorans were cautious by nature, but Laura's words were true. The fleet outside had made no aggressive move. The humans were not here to conquer. They were here because they had to. Olivia tapped the console. Look at the energy readings again. The fleet is stabilizing the area of space around the neutron star. Something massive is approaching. And I think the humans know its exact path. Ryan leaned closer. So all of this, the ships, the preparation, it's for that? Yes, Daniel said quietly. And if they are right, no one else could have stopped it. Back on Earth, Ethan Cole and Mia Turner observed the fleet through encrypted sensors. It's happening, Ethan said. The fleet is deployed, ready for the threat, and the humans in space, they understand what they are facing. Mia nodded. We did everything we could. Now it's up to them. I just hope we were right about the calculations. The council chambers were in chaos. Some Velorans wanted to attack immediately. Others argued for diplomacy. The humans remained calm, their holographic images unwavering. The situation was tense, fragile. One wrong move could start a war that no one could survive. Daniel watched the dark ships shift slightly, forming patterns in space. The precision was breathtaking. The fleet was alive with coordination, every ship moving in perfect harmony. It was not aggression. It was preparation. Ryan whispered, "They're ready, but what if we're not?" Daniel placed a hand on his shoulder. "We're lucky they are here. That's all we can do for now. Watch, learn, and hope." In the darkness beyond the fleet, the first signs of the entity appeared. Stars near the edges of sensors flickered and died. Space seemed to ripple as something vast moved, something that consumed light, matter, and energy with equal ease. Olivia's voice trembled slightly. That's it. That's the entity. The readings match the warnings. The stars, it's devouring them. Daniel felt a chill. How big is it? It's impossible, she said. It's bigger than a system, bigger than a galaxy segment. It's alive in ways we can't comprehend, and it's coming toward this region. The council members gasped. Some began to whisper to each other in fear. The Velorans had faced threats before, but nothing on this scale. Laura's hologram remained calm. This is why we are here. We have prepared. Humanity has not taken this lightly. Our fleet is the only chance for the galaxy to survive this threat. We will fight and we will defend, but the first strike may decide everything. Daniel turned to Ryan. Do you understand now? This isn't a human conquest, it's a warning. They've been preparing for this for decades in silence while the galaxy slept. Ryan nodded slowly. I get it. We underestimated them, and maybe we shouldn't have. Olivia leaned back in her chair. The fleet is more than just ships. It's technology we barely understand. Dark matter manipulation, phase shifting, energy absorption. The humans can bend space itself. That's why the entity may not destroy everything. If the humans are right, they have a plan. Daniel felt a sense of awe. Humanity, small and seemingly fragile, had prepared for a threat that could destroy entire star systems. They were not the species the galaxy thought they were. As night fell on the neutron star outpost, the dark matter fleet remained in position. The Velorans watched from the observation decks, their fear slowly mixing with respect. The humans outside were silent, disciplined, ready. And somewhere in the darkness, the entity moved, devouring stars, unaware that a species long thought weak was now ready to stand against it. Daniel stood at the observation window, hands gripping the railing. He whispered to himself, the galaxy has no idea what's coming. And neither do we fully, but if humanity can do this, maybe there's hope. Ryan stood beside him. Do you think they can stop it? Daniel looked at the fleet outside, black ships reflecting nothing, bending space, alive with unseen energy. I don't know, he said. But they're the first species in history that even has a chance. The outpost hummed quietly around them. Outside, the fleet remained, a silent shadow against the stars, and in the distance, the darkness moved, devouring light and matter without mercy. Humanity had arrived. And the galaxy would never be the same again. The darkness beyond the fleet moved slowly but with purpose. It was hard to see, almost like a shadow made of space itself. Stars near it disappeared as if eaten by some invisible force. The sensors on the Veloran outpost trembled, warning of distortions that could not exist according to known science. Captain Daniel Brooks stood at the observation deck, staring at the void. Beside him, Lieutenant Ryan Clark's hands shook slightly as he monitored the readings. Olivia Grant leaned over the console, her eyes wide. It's coming, she said. The entity is moving toward this system. It's consuming everything in its path. Daniel nodded. How fast? Olivia's fingers flew over the controls. Faster than we expected. But the humans, the fleet, they're ready. They've already calculated positions and timing. Ryan swallowed. Calculated? You mean they're going to fight it? Yes, Daniel said quietly, but not like we would fight. Their technology, it's not conventional. They don't just have ships. They manipulate space, dark matter, energy. This is going to be unlike anything we've seen. Outside, the fleet shifted. The black ships moved as one, forming a barrier in front of the approaching darkness. They didn't fire. They didn't make noise. But their presence alone seemed to bend reality. The stars around them warped, light bending unnaturally. From the observation window, Daniel could see the patterns of movement. Each ship floated precisely, as if the fleet were a single organism. He felt awe mixed with fear. These humans, long thought weak, now controlled space itself. On the bridge of one of the largest ships, Commander Jacob Lee stood, staring at the approaching entity. Lieutenant Grace Adams worked beside him, coordinating the fleet. The entity is within range, Grace said calmly. We should phase in the dark inversion protocol soon. Lee nodded. Do it. The timing must be perfect. If we engage too early or too late, it could destroy everything. Deep inside the entity, the air, or what felt like air, trembled. The void shifted as if something alive were stretching, sensing the humans before it could strike. It had destroyed entire star systems before, but it had never faced a force like this. Something about the fleet disturbed it. Back on the outpost, Daniel, Ryan, and Olivia watched as the first signs of the battle unfolded. A ripple in space appeared near the front line of ships. The darkness seemed to react to the fleet, twisting and bending around it. "Look," Olivia whispered. "The ships are not attacking. They're absorbing the energy of the entity. They're feeding on it, redirecting it." Ryan's eyes widened. "Feeding? You mean they can fight it without even firing weapons?" Daniel nodded slowly. "Yes. That's the advantage of their dark matter technology. They manipulate energy at a level we can barely understand. They don't need guns in the way we know. Space itself becomes their weapon." The first wave of the entity collided with the fleet. The black ships shimmered, disappearing briefly as they phased into a different dimension. When they returned, the darkness around them had receded slightly, as if pushed back by some invisible force. On the outpost, sensors struggled to keep track of the fleet. The dark matter ships moved in and out of phase, bending space, absorbing energy, and redirecting it into the void. Each time a ship phased back, the entity recoiled slightly, unfamiliar with this type of resistance. Daniel rubbed his hands over his face. "It's like watching gods fight," Ryan shivered. "We're going to survive this." Olivia's voice was steady, though tense. "We might, but it will take everything the humans have. Some ships will not make it." Inside the fleet, several vessels began to collapse under the strain. Dark matter cores overloaded as the energy of the entity pushed against the limits of the technology. Commander Lee gave orders calmly. "Redirect energy from the outer units to the core formation. Maintain the shield. We cannot fail now." Lieutenant Grace coordinated the movements with precision. Each ship moved exactly where it was needed, every adjustment calculated to the millisecond. The fleet became a living wall, bending the impossible, holding back the unstoppable. Back on the observation deck, Daniel noticed the shadows shifting. "It's adapting," he said. "The entity is learning. Every time it attacks, it changes its form." Olivia nodded. "That's why the humans are phasing in and out. They force it to react, to make mistakes. It's not just defense, it's strategy. They're teaching it what they can do, forcing it to expend energy." Ryan's voice trembled. "It's huge, and it's everywhere. How can anyone fight something like that?" Daniel placed a hand on his shoulder. "Not everyone. Only humanity has the tools and the courage. And right now, they're all that stands between the galaxy and extinction." The entity pressed harder. The darkness stretched toward the fleet like living fingers, devouring light, stars, and even the space between. Several human ships flashed and disappeared briefly, overloaded by the energy. Inside one ship, Captain Noah Price monitored his systems. "We're losing units," he said quietly. "We have to maintain formation or it will break through." Commander Lee's voice echoed calmly over the fleet channels. "Every loss is calculated. Energy redistribution begins now. The fleet will survive if we stay coordinated. We cannot panic. We cannot fail." From the outpost, Daniel could feel the tension rising. The void seemed to pulse with life, responding to the humans in a way no one could explain. The fleet held its line, phasing, absorbing, and redirecting the energy of the entity. Olivia whispered, "If they fail, it's over. Systems will collapse, stars will vanish." The galaxy could lose everything. Ryan swallowed hard. "And if they succeed?" Daniel watched the black ships shimmer, bending space, energy, and reality itself. "Then humanity becomes the species everyone underestimated, the one who prepared when no one else would. The one who survived the impossible." Hours passed and the battle continued. The fleet moved like a single organism, phasing, redirecting energy, and holding the darkness at bay. Ships that were lost were replaced strategically, energy redistributed, calculations precise. On the observation deck, Daniel, Ryan, and Olivia sat in silence. They could not intervene, could not help. They could only watch and hope. The entity began to adapt more aggressively. Its shadowy tendrils reached farther, consuming more of the stars around them. The fleet began to strain under the weight. Several ships disappeared entirely, collapsing as their cores could not handle the overload. Commander Lee's voice remained steady. "Hold the line. Divert all remaining power to the core formation. The dark inversion protocol begins now." Lieutenant Grace coordinated the final movements. Every ship phased in perfect unison, bending space itself into a singular point. The fleet became a massive gravitational spear aimed at the heart of the entity. From the observation deck, Daniel saw the impossible happen. The darkness began to collapse inward, responding to the fleet's attack. The stars near the entity blinked and reappeared as the force pushed back. The void itself trembled. Ryan whispered, they're winning." Olivia's eyes widened. "Not just winning, they're breaking it. The entity can't handle this. Humanity predicted its behavior. They knew how it would react. The spear of the fleet struck the heart of the darkness. Space seemed to shatter in a silent explosion. Light bent, energy twisted, and the entity reeled. The black ships held firm, redirecting every backlash, every distortion, until the darkness began to unravel. Daniel's heart pounded. They did it! They're stopping it. Ryan could barely speak. I never thought humans could do this. Olivia nodded slowly. They didn't just fight, they calculated, adapted, and overcame something impossible, and they survived. The entity, once a living shadow across the galaxy, began to vanish. Stars returned. The void stabilized. The remaining ships of the dark matter fleet phased back into normal space, battered but alive. On the outpost, the Velorans remained silent, watching the humans in awe. Their species had always underestimated humanity. They had assumed weakness. They had been wrong. Daniel leaned against the observation window, exhausted. The impossible just happened, and humanity did it. Ryan turned to him. Do you think the rest of the galaxy will understand? Daniel shook his head. Some may, most won't, but it doesn't matter. Humanity survived. That's all that matters now. The fleet remained in position, dark and silent, a reminder of what had been achieved. Humanity had faced a threat no one else could stop. They had fought not for glory, not for conquest, but for survival. And in doing so, they had changed the galaxy forever. Hours later, on the bridge of the fleet, Commander Lee surveyed the aftermath. Lieutenant Grace reported the status. We've lost ships, but the fleet remains functional. The entity is gone. The path is clear. Lee nodded. Good, return to formation. We will continue to monitor for any residual activity. Humanity is not done, but today we survived, and the galaxy will remember that we can face the impossible. Back on the outpost, Daniel, Ryan, and Olivia watched the fleet slowly disappear into the dark. The humans had proven their strength. They had faced the impossible, and the galaxy had witnessed it for the first time. Daniel whispered almost to himself, they didn't just arrive, they saved the galaxy. Ryan swallowed hard, and we were lucky enough to see it. Olivia leaned back, exhausted but proud. The future is different now. Humanity is no longer a minor species. They are something more, Daniel nodded. Yes, something impossible became real today, and the galaxy will never forget it. Outside, the stars shone again, undisturbed for now. But the shadow of the threat had left its mark. The humans had survived. And the galaxy had changed forever. The battle was over. The darkness that had threatened entire star systems was gone, dissipated by the power and precision of humanity's fleet. The black ships hovered silently in space, battered but intact. Stars returned to their normal places, light flowing freely again, and the void seemed calm for the first time in years. Captain Daniel Brooks watched from the observation window of the Veloran outpost. He had spent hours tracking the fleet's movements, noting every phase, every shift in energy. Even now, he could hardly believe what he had seen. Humanity had done the impossible. They had faced a threat that no other species could even comprehend, and they had survived. Lieutenant Ryan Clark stood beside him, still pale from the tension of the battle. Do you think it's really over? He asked quietly. Daniel shook his head. For now, but the galaxy will not forget this, and the humans, they will be remembered. Olivia Grant tapped her console. Sensors show the fleet is beginning to return to their hidden dimension. They're phasing back slowly, carefully, conserving energy. They're not leaving, they're just hidden again. Ryan frowned. So we won't see them again? Daniel smiled faintly. Not unless they choose to appear. And right now, I think they want the galaxy to know what happened, but not to see all their power at once. That's the way humans have always worked. Quiet strength, hidden until needed. In the Veloran council chambers, the atmosphere had changed completely. The council members who had once debated whether to attack the humans now sat in stunned silence. The ambassador's hologram remained in place, calm and composed. Vareth, the elder who had been the most vocal opponent, spoke finally. We underestimated your species. We thought humanity weak. We thought your fleets could never challenge a threat like that. We were wrong. Laura Mitchell's voice was steady. Humanity has always prepared. We do not seek war, but we cannot ignore what is coming. The galaxy must be ready, and we will act as needed. Another council member, younger and less cautious, asked, And what now? Do you expect rewards, territory, tribute? Laura shook her head. No. We seek only partnership and understanding. Humanity does not take what is not offered. We fight when survival demands it, but we do not conquer lightly. Daniel, Ryan, and Olivia watched the exchange from the outpost. Ryan whispered, "Partnership?" After what we just saw. You'd think the Velorans would bow to them. Daniel shook his head. Humans don't want power like that. They want survival. They fight for life, for others, not for control. That's why the fleet exists. That's why they won. Not because they were stronger, but because they were prepared and willing to act when no one else would. Olivia nodded. It's different from anything else in history. Other species fight for territory, for pride, for revenge. Humans fight for life itself. That's what makes them dangerous and what makes them strong. On Earth, in the hidden facilities beneath the mountains, Dr. Ethan Cole and Mia Turner watched the sensors showing the fleet returning. Ethan rubbed his eyes, exhausted. It worked. They survived. The calculations were right, Mia nodded. And the galaxy saw it. Humanity is no longer hidden, not really, but the fleet, it will remain in the shadows, ready for the next threat. That was the plan. Ethan smiled faintly. They always said we were preparing for the impossible. And the impossible came. And we won. Meanwhile, the damaged ships of the dark matter fleet slowly phased back into the hidden dimension. They moved carefully, avoiding detection, conserving power. The battle had taken a toll, but it had also proven their value. Humanity had survived when no one else could. On the Veloran outpost, Daniel watched the last flicker of a ship disappear into the darkness. He felt a strange mix of relief and awe. The humans had fought like nothing he had ever seen. They had not simply survived, they had controlled the impossible, shaped it, and sent it back into the void. Ryan broke the silence. Do you think the other species will believe this? The other civilizations? Daniel shrugged. Some may, most won't, but it doesn't matter. The humans have proven themselves, and when the next threat comes, the galaxy will have to remember their power. They'll have to be taken seriously. Olivia leaned back, exhausted but satisfied. And yet, they won't show everything, not now, not until it's needed. That's what's remarkable. They fight for life, but they hide their strength until it matters most. Ryan shook his head. I still can't believe it. We watched the impossible happen, and the humans survived. Daniel smiled. Yes, and the galaxy will never be the same. Humanity has arrived, but not to conquer. They arrived to protect, and that's what makes them different from everyone else. Back in the council chambers, the Veloran leaders had reached a decision. Varath addressed the assembly. We were wrong to underestimate humanity. We will recognize them as equals, not for territory or conquest, but for their strength, their preparation, and their willingness to act when no one else could. The ambassador nodded. That is all we ask: partnership, respect, and understanding. The galaxy has changed, and humans will continue to protect life, not dominate it. Daniel, Ryan, and Olivia returned to their observation stations. They watched the stars settle back into place. The void seemed calm, but the memory of the entity lingered. The humans had survived, but they knew the galaxy would never be quiet again. Daniel whispered to himself, the impossible is no longer impossible. Humanity has proven that. Ryan looked at him. Do you think they'll come back soon? Daniel shook his head. Not unless they have to. Humans fight when needed, and the galaxy may never need them like this again, but if it does, they'll be ready. Olivia smiled faintly. And we will remember what we've seen. Humanity is different now. We cannot forget it. Days passed. The Veloran outpost returned to normal operations, but the mood had changed. The crew whispered about the humans, about their fleet, about the battle that had saved the galaxy. The fleet itself remained hidden, phased into another dimension, a silent guardian waiting for the next call. Daniel, Ryan, and Olivia gathered in the observation room one last time before leaving the outpost. Daniel spoke softly. We have witnessed history. The humans did not seek glory, they did not seek power. They acted because it was necessary, and that is what makes them remarkable. Ryan nodded. I will never look at humanity the same way again. We underestimated them for too long. Olivia leaned back in her chair. And the rest of the galaxy will learn soon enough. Humanity is here, quiet, patient, and prepared. The impossible belongs to them now. As the outpost's lights dimmed for the night, the stars twinkled above. Somewhere in the galaxy, the black ships of the dark matter fleet waited, invisible and silent. They were not just machines, they were a promise that humanity would be ready when the darkness returned. Daniel, Ryan, and Olivia left the observation deck. They knew the galaxy had changed forever. The humans had arrived, not as conquerors, but as protectors. Their strength was hidden, quiet, and unmatched, and the memory of the battle would live in the minds of those who had witnessed it. On Earth, Ethan Cole and Mia Turner walked through the empty corridors of their facility. "They did it," Ethan said softly. Mia nodded. "They always knew what they were preparing for, and the galaxy saw it for the first time." Ethan smiled faintly. "The impossible happened. And humanity survived. That's all that matters." Above the galaxy, the dark matter fleet drifted, silent, invisible, and powerful. The stars shone once more, but the shadow of the threat had left its mark. Humanity had proven itself. The impossible was no longer beyond reach. And the galaxy would never forget the day the humans arrived. The humans did not seek praise. They did not seek territory. They acted for life itself. And in doing so, they had changed the galaxy forever. Daniel Brooks stood at the observation window one last time. He whispered to himself, "The impossible happened, and humanity arrived not to conquer but to protect. That is the truth of this galaxy now." The stars twinkled silently, as if acknowledging his words. Somewhere in the darkness, the black ships of the human fleet waited, ready for whatever the future would bring. And the galaxy would never be the same again.